Lesson 6.1 on ratios. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. For these examples, we'll use this table about Josh's shirts. Josh has 4 red, 2 orange, 3 yellow, 12 green, and 17 blue shirts. And here in number 2, we want to find the ratio of orange shirts to yellow shirts. Okay, so first off, we want orange to yellow, so he has 2 orange. I'm going to write 2. He has 3 yellow. Okay, now if I write this in 3 ways, we know the first way I can write this ratio is using words. So 2 to 3. The second way I can write a ratio is using a colon. 2 colon 3. We also read this as 2 to 3. The third way I can write a ratio is as a fraction. 2 fraction bar 3. I would also read this as 2 to 3. So these are the 3 ways to write the ratio of orange to yellow. Number 3, an equivalent ratio names the same comparison, and we get an equivalent fraction or an equivalent ratio by multiplying or dividing the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So we multiply the top and the bottom of the ratio by the same number to get an equivalent ratio. And number 5, we want 2 equivalent ratios for orange shirts to yellow shirts. So we already said this is 2 to 3. That's the ratio, 2 to 3. So I'm going to write it as a fraction, 2 to 3. And to get an equivalent ratio, let's multiply the top and the bottom by the same number. Let's multiply by 2 over 2. Okay? So on the top I have 2 times 2, which is 4, and on the bottom I have 3 times 2, which is 6. So this is an equivalent ratio for 2 to 3. We would say 4 to 6. So this is one equivalent ratio. We need one more, so let's start with the ratio 2 to 3. And instead of multiplying by 2 over 2, let's now multiply by 3 over 3. So on the top I would have 2 times 3, which is 6, and on the bottom 3 times 3, which is 9. So the ratio 6 to 9 is also an equivalent ratio for the ratio 2 to 3. Number 6, here we want the ratio of red shirts to green shirts, and we want it in simplest form. Okay, so first, how many red shirts do we have? Well, I look at the table and I see we have 4 red shirts. 4 to how many green do we have? Well, we have 12 green. So the ratio is 4 to 12. 4 to 12. Okay, so let's write this as a fraction, 4 to 12, or 4 over 12. If we want this in simplest form, think about what number are 4 and 12 both divisible by. Well, you could say 2, and that would be correct, but these are also divisible by 4. So let's divide the top and the bottom by 4. On the top, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and on the bottom, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 4 to 12 is equivalent to 1 to 3, and this is in fact simplest form. The ratio of red to green in simplest form is 1 to 3. Now this ratio compares, we would say, this compares part to part. This is a part to part comparison because we are comparing part of the shirts to part of the shirts. So it is a part to part comparison. Okay, number 7, we want the ratio of total shirts to orange shirts. Well, how many total shirts do we have? Well, I'm going to have to go back to my table and add up the total shirts. I add 4 plus 2 plus 3, 4 plus 2 plus 3 plus 12 plus 17, and if I add all those up, I would see that I have 38 total shirts. So there's 38 total shirts, and how many orange shirts are there? There are 2, right? So my ratio is 38 to 2. Okay, is this simplest form? Well, 38 and 2 are both even, and so I know they are both divisible by 2. So let's divide the top and the bottom by 2 so that we get an equivalent fraction. 38 divided by 2, that is 19, and 2 divided by 2, that is 1. So this 19 to 1 is an equivalent ratio for 38 to 2, and this is simplest form, 19 to 1. This ratio compares, this ratio compares whole to part, right? It compares all of the shirts, or the total shirts, to the orange shirts. So all of the shirts to part of the shirts. It's a whole to part comparison. Number 8, we want green shirts to total shirts. Well, there are 12 green shirts and there are 38 total shirts, right? So we have a 12 to 38 ratio. Let's write this in simplest form. 12 and 38 are both even, so I can divide by 2 over 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 38 divided by 2 is 19. So 6 to 19 is the ratio in simplest form. Okay, now this compares part, right? The green shirts are part of the shirts, part to whole, part to whole. It compares part of the shirts to all of the shirts, so it's a part to whole comparison. Okay, last one here, number 9, we want the total shirts to the green shirts. Now, as you can see, these are sort of flipped, right? In number 8, we did green to total. Now we want total to green. So total, 38, to green, 12. So I have 38 on top and 12 on bottom. So as you can see here, the order matters. The first thing I'm looking at will go on top, and the second item I'm looking at will go on bottom. If I simplify this ratio, I'm going to divide by 2 over 2 because they're both even, and I would get 38 divided by 2 is 19, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So in simplest form, it is 19 to 6. This ratio compares whole to part. It's a whole to part comparison because I'm comparing all of the shirts to part of the shirts. So it is a whole to part comparison.